And we're live. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Partner Matrix videocast. We're excited to have you here, and we are excited for this conversation. We're talking about ecosystem today, partner ecosystems, and our visitors on our videocast today are Teresa and Harbinder. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but most of you probably know them already. Teresa, why don't we start with you? Tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business, and then we'll move on to Harbinder.
Okay, in the dry run, he said he was going to introduce us as goats. And if anybody knows what the goat is, I was so honored because my 15-year-old would have been so excited.
They are the greatest, not goat as us old folks view it.
Exactly. Great to see you all. My name is Teresa Caragall. I'm the founder and CEO of Achieve Unite. Love talking about ecosystems and partnering. It's my passion. And everything we do in our company is around partnerships, alliances, and people, helping people be the most successful they can be in this domain. So I'm excited to be here with my friend Harbinder.
And Teresa runs a boot camp about every quarter, a partner ecosystem boot camp. Yeah. So if one comes to your area, it's well worth looking at it. She's an expert. All right, Harbinder.
Thank you, Vaughn. So Harbinder Kera, founder, CEO of Mind Matrix, started this company 27 years ago as actually sales ecosystem enablement platform 27 years ago. Wow. Believe it or not. And we're talking about this topic today, 27 years later. To me, the sales ecosystem did exist 27 years ago and exists today. Obviously, there's a variant, there's a change that has happened. So, but excited to be on this webcast, and hopefully I should be able to bring some insight what I have seen over 27 years.
He will for sure. He's the OG of the ecosystem. I don't know.
You can look at my beard, and great. That's why I didn't shave. You know, if I shaved just like you, maybe, you know, nobody would have believed me. So by keeping my beard, so people can say, "Oh my goodness, this guy is real." You know,
no. Oh, that's great. So we got GOAT and OG so far. Let's see how far
I got the nomenclature. Yeah, I got the nomenclature out in the first 3 minutes. You know, setting the stage, when you look into some of the research that's done around ecosystems, business to business ecosystems, they started talking about them in the 90s. So when Harbinder actually mentions that he's been looking at this for a lot of years, he's probably not stretching it. The funny thing about it, though, is that about the last 3 years, whether you like this term or not, people in the partnership space have started talking about ecosystems. Some people hate the term. Okay, some people embrace it fully. Is it, to both of you, is this really a thing? You know, how do you define an ecosystem in partnerships? Is it real? Does it really stack up to all the hype? Teresa, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think it is really a thing. And I think partnerships are more important than ever. We have a book coming out pretty soon with Forbes Books, and it basically is every organization in the world in the B2B space has to have partnerships. If you're small, it might be a few. If you're big, you need an ecosystem, of which it may include a channel. It may include influencers. We're going to talk about a lot of that today. But yeah, it's real and it's really, really important.
What would you add to that, Harbinder?
I agree with Teresa. It's real. Obviously, again, I've been dreaming about this for 27 years. So, yeah, so that's a wrong question, the wrong person here. So, yes, it is absolutely real. Now, when you think about ecosystem, when I look at ecosystem, that equates to collaboration. Okay. So, and then that is really the most important thing about ecosystem is the collaboration among different parties. And so that could be alliances, JVs, co-development, co-servicing, whatever. That's the ecosystem we're looking at. When you think about from a partner ecosystem is how all these entities interconnect with each other and create value for each other and also for the customers.
Yeah. So there are a bunch of challenges with that. Right, the partner technology isn't always constructed for it. Some of it is, some of it isn't. There are things related to co-sell that are difficult. What are the what are the major challenges that you guys are seeing when it comes to cultivating partner ecosystems?
I see one is measuring the value of ecosystems. One of the channel leaders just sent me a note and he's like, my CEO is trying to figure out how to measure this and he only knows 2 or 3 traditional metrics. So we gave them some other metrics, but that becomes a much broader conversation because it may not be a transactional ecosystem. It may be you're measuring influence. It may be you're measuring services. It may be you're measuring incremental offerings around your offering. So the whole game has changed in how we measure the business. And the other thing is, I have a favorite chart, and Vaughn, you've seen it. Like the old channel to market was very linear and it was very hierarchical and it was very basic. And this one's like a whole interweaving web of all these different things. And that's the reality of the business we're operating in. Far, far more complex than 15 years ago or 27 years ago in Harvinder's case.
When I was in graduate school, we studied chaos theory, and maybe this is an example of that.
Yeah, 100%.
How do you get rid of the chaos then? What are the trends, Harvinder, that are shaping this modern partner ecosystem and how people are unwinding it and how are they moving forward with it?
So let me go back to the previous question you asked, Teresa, about what are the challenges in the modern sales partner ecosystem, okay? Because understanding those challenges, that will help you help define what is needed and what's happening. So one of the important things that we need to understand is there's not a one size that fits all. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if you just think about partner ecosystem, you can't take one standardized approach across all partners. Okay. There are different types of partners, different types of competencies, different sales motions. So it has to be, and everybody was going to collaborate. There's a co-opetition going on. Understanding that nuances is the key. Okay. And then as Teresa pointed out, this is a lot of complexity. So difficulty, how you manage the complexity when you think about an ecosystem. Okay. And as I mentioned, there's some partners, there's a competition and there's a cooperation. So how do you balance between competition and cooperation? That's another important aspect as part of the partner ecosystem. Okay. The other big part from a complexity and the challenge perspective is also comes down to data privacy and security, compliance. Every partner has its own rules and regulations that how the data is going to be protected or by geos, internally, externally. When you are dealing with an ecosystem, collaborating, there's a lot of data exchange that is happening. So how do you keep that going and keeping the data privacy intact? Okay. Now, the biggest thing is, how do you ensure there is the value creation for all the parties involved?
So it's not about me. It's not just about me.
No.
Exactly. Because when you think about ecosystem is equal to collaboration.
Yeah.
Okay. So coming back to that piece, so we need to make sure there's a value creation for all the parties involved and keeping the customer as in the middle. And then that's the important thing. So that's really some of the really high level challenges that we need to think about when it comes down to implementing, or looking at modern partner ecosystems.
Yeah.
The other thing that strikes me, Harvinder, as you said that is, so this gets far more complex in an ecosystem, and getting your strategy right up front is the degree to which you're going to be successful 2 years later. And that I see a lot of people, they're half in, they're trying too many things, so this box of strategy, program, scale, if you don't get that piece right, you won't have any traction a year or two later.
So Vaughn, let's come back to the question. I kind of went back. So
the modern trends, what are they? If you were to give us 3 of them, what would they be?
So I can give you 5. But let's go by 3. The first thing that actually has happened, I'm just going back to comparing 27 years and now. It has just become easier for platforms to connect and talk to each other. Okay. As a basic element of collaboration is data exchange. Okay. Data exchange between, when I think about data exchange between platforms, entities, applications, that has become easier. Okay. So that is the key. Now, with that, that has facilitated more of this collaboration, what we're discussing today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The second element, and obviously over the years, things have happened, an easy access to this data. So that means on your phone, in a smartwatch, on your, smart goggles, you can access the data,
I should
collaborate,
hope you
interact.
have a pair of those, by the
I'm
way.
sorry?
I hope you have a pair of smart goggles that you wear in the, in the evenings when we're not around.
That's
Anyway.
right. That's what I do. When I have those, I can say, pick the stuff. I'm talking to Vaughn. I can put my finger like this and say, all right, connect, disconnect,
Anyway.
cooking something in the kitchen, and I can do all that. That's right. That is all part of that, smart goggles. Yes, exactly right.
Yeah, so data is more accessible. And then what's your third?
The third is, I'm not going to talk about AI. I'm going to leave that AI topic separate. Okay.
Our favorite topic. We love AI.
Favorite, that's AI favorite or overrated topic. We're going to leave that aside. But to me, really the important thing is the companies have realized, and I'm going to just talk about what happened with going back to COVID. People have started work remotely. The talent has gone away. There's a lesser of talent available. Fewer people in the workforce. But there's an important element. The competency, the skill set is scattered all over the place. People just don't have everything they need to be successful. So there's a need for more of collaboration than ever before. Okay?
Yeah.
And that is actually, I'm just saying, this is more, whatever the phenomenon for the last 3-4 years that has happened. So leaving everything else aside, but that is really has catapulted, if you look at the pharma world, people spend a lot of time developing these drugs and collaborating, without collaboration. Now companies are saying, let's cut this short. Let's find entities. Let's co-build. See, you see that in the pharma world, co-building together. Okay. We have not seen in the tech world more so, but we saw in the
pharma figure it out in the tech world.
That's right. Now it's happening because of the rise of more of ISVs coming up. So a lot of co-building happening in the tech world. They used to be, we're going to build it ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we will co-market or co-service together, but co-building part wasn't there. That is the other thing that is happening. So that's what I see, the 3 or 4. All right, over to you, Teresa.
So mine are the customers hold the power, and they don't want technology for technology's sake anymore. They want business outcomes. They want ROI. They want impact. They are buying outcomes and numbers and information. The second one is the rise of the influencer. We have seen on average in a tech deal, there's 37 different influencers that a person might rely on throughout the whole buying cycle. And that might not be a person, it might be a source, right? But 37 different places. And if I don't know who the influencers are that are influencing my decision makers, I'm not going to win the business, right? So the rise of the influencer makes this ecosystem much more important. And then the last one, my favorite one, is it's all about trust, right? So if we have an ecosystem and we don't have trust, it's at the core of all of it. And collaboration and trust go hand in hand. So I think Harbinder and I we just might say it differently, but we're in violent agreement on that one. Okay, one more and I promise I'm done. The fourth one is the people have to elevate their skills in this space, because all of a sudden they have to have financial expertise. They have to learn how to build and develop solutions. They have to be marketers. They have to understand influence. So they have to become much better business and strategic people who are calling in this space to be successful.
Teresa, why do I need that when I have AI?
Oh my goodness.
I can't AI just solve that for me? It wouldn't be an ecosystem conversation if we didn't talk about AI.
Oh my God. You have my biggest fear. My 15-year-old at Gonzaga High School in DC, I'm afraid they're going to become dumb because of AI. I know. I'm scared of this.
So how are you addressing AI to help your clients manage their partner ecosystems?
I mean, I love AI because I think it's going to help these people become better business people because it's giving them things at their fingertips so that they can get the information they need to go have a strategic conversation, right? They can learn it faster and sort of just in time learning. And so, but they're not going to do that unless they've got this growth mindset, which we're not talking about growth mindset today, but people have to lean into learning more than ever, even with AI, almost especially with AI.
So, that's interesting. Yeah. So it's not going to make them dumber.
But you've got to be curious. Yeah, exactly. You've got to want to learn. So I'm really excited about the potential with AI. I'm excited about the applications we're already doing with AI with customers. I'm excited about what is beginning to happen with you all in the PRM space with AI. So I think there's an awesome opportunity right now to help.
If you've not seen this from Achieve Unite, ask someone that you know in Achieve Unite about Bob. What about
Bob a long time, and he's one of the probably biggest channel and partner ecosystem fans. And he learned the other day that it was named after him. And man, it was pretty awesome.
Nice. Okay, so Harbinder, are you ignoring AI in your platform?
Great question.
No, completely ignoring it.
Tell us a little bit about what you've got on in the works, if you don't mind.
No, I actually literally, you won't believe it. I had a presentation 6 o'clock in the morning today on AI for our presentation that really talked about use of AI as external, as a tool, as well as the internal tool to our business. Mm-hmm. So this is really to the teams in the company, just talking about how AI could be utilized. And this really goes back to when I was at Carnegie Mellon 28 years ago. I took my first AI class in AI, in deep learning, and I did Lisp and Lisp programming that really talks about how the deep learning, the stuff that has come up in OpenAI, that was my first class 28 years ago.
Wow.
That's as CMU, as part of the CS program. But one of the things I was telling people that because of computing, it was there as part of that you write small programs and you do this, and never came to mainstream because it really required faster access and computing power to make this happen. Fast forward today, because the NVIDIA chips and all the GPUs, it has become a reality where companies like OpenAI that could have thousands of computers with the NVIDIA chips running on them, and basically you could build 2,200 billion data points, large language models that was created, OpenAI. And then goes back to, if you think about ML, I'm just giving a quick history on AI, because this stuff, I said I can ignore. I kind of lived through it and seen it. Machine learning, MindMatrix, we already had implemented machine learning almost 7-8 years ago. Machine learning is mostly based on linear math, linear algebra. That is recommendation engine, like you see on Netflix. If you watch a movie, the next recommended movie is something else. It doesn't need LLM model. It is a simple statistical modeling of using ML. That's a machine learning. Now, what the LLM has done that has changed our world, what helps you find, analyze and summarize the data set of an unstructured data set. I'm going to say unstructured data set with common language, a spoken language. You don't have to ask the stuff in a structured way. So unstructured data set, asking them in an unstructured format. Okay. That is the game changer. And the most important, the game changer part here is it has become a commodity that anybody can use this API and access. It's not that expensive. And now you can create so many apps to do this stuff and create different apps around. Now coming back to the modern ecosystem, it really, I talked about data exchange, a lot of data, analyzing data, relevancy of data, how everything fits together. Just to give you a simple example. So when I started MindMatrix, I started off we built a portal called solveit.com. SolveIT was the solutions marketplace that I built 27 years ago. And that was a sales solution based partner ecosystem. That was the genesis of MindMatrix. So where the partners and alliances and ISVs will come together and create solutions online, and people can discover and find them. So I had tried to build the compatibility matrix behind the scene. I'm working on it just to create that. That was 27 years ago. Then the dot-com bust happened. Then I had to figure out what to do next. But what I was trying to say is the solution partner ecosystem enablement has become a lot easier with implementing AI into it. So basically, I can come in and I said, hey, I got a Lenovo XYZ hardware laptop or server. I'm trying to create a backup solution for small business. Tell me what to do. It can tell me that, hey, use Citrix or Veeam or use VMware and XYZ solution of this type, and that can help you solve it, this product, this model number, and these are pros and cons. So what it does, looking at the diverse data set that is available, but again, at the same time, look at the guardrails, the security compliance guardrails you have put together and find you the right information in the right format, just like that. The stuff that I was spending a gazillion minutes and hours to do this is just like this. So now that is transforming it. That is transforming everything that is happening. This is just one small example that I'm talking about. I have 50 other use cases that are actually how this is impacting our lives in the ecosystem world. And so I want to have Teresa speak to this because she's got some stuff going on.
A much longer conversation at 50 use case examples. But that's really interesting. I mean, because you're going at this in the platform from 3 different levels. I mean, the generative AI that everyone's familiar with right now, the recommendation engine, and then even that sort of amped up with unstructured queries to products. So multi-vendor, multi-solution product builds. It's interesting. Okay, so we've got 7 minutes. Let's get through some best practices. Teresa, how can companies set some of this in motion? What are the best practices for onboarding them, training people to operate in these ecosystems? What are some of the KPIs that they should consider and things that they should look at that way to be effective in this space?
Yeah, so one is educate yourself on ecosystems and really become smart on what it is, what it isn't, what metrics are, what your options are. So I would say that's number one. The second thing that I see is these ecosystems, you brought up the build. It's co-build, it's co-market, it's co-sell, it's co-implement, so all these co's are happening, which makes the execution much more complex for customers. And so how do you create structure to allow, a MindMatrix and 2 other vendors to work together on a solution and to implement that and get early wins and then get repeatable models in place, and that creates structure. And so we're doing more programs to help drive those joint solutions to fruition so that then they can be repeated over and over and over again. And so I think this co-innovate, co-build piece all the way through has to happen almost like a strategic project or program, right? So that's another thing. I think also this whole metrics piece how are you measuring the success of your ecosystem? You have to educate your CEO, the CFOs on what the metrics of success are, because it might not only be partner-led business, right? It might be other metrics. Maybe a partner influenced it. Maybe a partner built a service around it. Other elements of the whole customer buying journey that partners are bringing value into. And so you have to educate them, and then you have to define an agreed upon set of metrics for that.
I had someone that I respect quite a lot a few months ago posted something on LinkedIn that said attribution doesn't matter. Does attribution matter?
Yeah. I mean, attribution doesn't matter, and we have to figure out how to measure value. So I sort of can speak out of both sides of my mouth on that one.
I think attribution does matter. I mean, and I think that people really struggle to unwind it and give the right people the right credit for the things they do.
Attribution matters, but as an example in the ecosystem, we might need to stop putting our direct sellers and our partners in conflict with each other around who brought the opportunity to the table. Who cares? Get the opportunity in the company and measure something later in the cycle, or measure them working together in the co-sell motion to be successful. So attribution matters, and it's not an either or. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. What would you add to this, Harbinder? I know that you spent a lot of time in the platform trying to make sure that ROI is measurable, that attribution can be unwound in these ecosystems.
So there are a bunch of KPIs that you have to look at when you look at partner ecosystem health or success. One is the performance metric for the partners. That's something we just talked about, defining the KPIs for the partners, revenue generation, customer satisfaction score, number of leads generated. That's the metric for the partners. The second aspect is the overall ecosystem health. Looking at as an overall health of the ecosystem, the diversity of partners, the churn rate, how many partners coming in, going out, how many partners you have onboarded. What is the overall health looks like of your ecosystem?
I love that. I love that. Anyway, keep going.
Because that's really they'll kind of measuring that'll help you determine, the expansion of the ecosystem. The third one is the customer impact, the value creating for the customers. What does the NPS score looks like? What does the customer lifetime value looks like because of this? So measuring the customer impact and value of the ecosystem, that is actually equally important. Then is the other aspect is the risk and compliance aspect. Okay. Yeah. How much risk is there? Measuring risk and compliance, data breaches, all the stuff, making sure that is intact. And that is one of the key indicators when you're doing a collaboration and data exchange, keeping that. And that is a concern. And that is also, we need to measure it.
Okay? Absolutely. Measuring risk is more important than ever in this ecosystem world.
That is right. Yes. And then I'm going to talk about a couple more. So I'm going to say one more too, is the innovation. Because one of the things we talked about, innovation and co-creation, how this has impacted that, and then also when the joint intellectual property is created, do we have boundaries around that? How that has been attributed, revenue generation. So that's very important, how this has accelerated co-creation, innovation as part of the ecosystem. That is something for us to think about. So I got many other aspects. I'm going to keep quiet.
Can I share my two things? And then
actually, I was gonna say we've got 1 minute left. Give me your two key takeaways and one challenge. Here we go.
Two key takeaways. My 10-year-old, I was teaching him about harmony, right? Harmony in music. All of those metrics have to be in harmony. Everything has to line up. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful later. So you got to get those metrics definitions right. Don't only measure revenue, measure leading, behavioral indicators, and the lagging indicators, leading indicators, lagging indicators. And my favorite thing to tell you is make sure you take care of your people and raise them up.
Raise them up. It's funny. The number of times I've heard Harbinder mention that the people matter even more now than ever in a digital arena. Okay, Harbinder, two fast takeaways with no time left. 30 seconds or less.
I'll just go. One of the topics we didn't talk about is the long-term strategic alignment. Okay. So I want to make sure if you're starting an ecosystem, making sure that your future goals, the joint vision statement, the roadmap, the product roadmap, future all lines up. And when you're implementing the partner ecosystem, this also has to line up. And as one of the things we talked about, I would say, as we collaborating, innovating, using AI, AI is going to become a commodity. So everybody's going to have it, like cell phones. Everybody, you cannot say that, hey, I use AI more, so I'm better than you. You cannot do that. And because everybody has the same cell phone, you can't say that I have a better iPhone 12 versus iPhone 11. They're all the same. But the important thing is the value of human touch. The human touch will cement your future, because that's something very important. That will become your next competitive edge. So ecosystem, no ecosystem, something to think about, value of human touch. That's really I want to emphasize.
I love that. I love that. The relationship and the trust is the currency. All right. With that, thanks everyone. Really appreciate you participating and listening to us today. Thanks to Teresa and to Harvinder, and we'll see you next time. With that,
Thank you.
Thank you. So fun.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm gonna go get the car.